It's a new year, and that means we've got a new state trying to destroy 3D printing, and yes, it will affect tabletop gaming miniatures, all because of the fear of 3D printable firearms. Now, last year we were hanging out in New York State, but this time we're going to the opposite corner of the country, over to Washington State, and taking a look at House Bill 2321. So let's start here by reading the introduction to this act. An act relating to preventing the unlawful manufacturing of firearms by requiring three-dimensional printers to be equipped with certain blocking technologies, adding a new chapter to Title 19 RCW, and prescribing penalties. Next, let's take a look at some of the definitions in this bill. Now, all legislation has that kind of a thing, and it's important to look at that to understand how this bill might work if it does become law. So equipped with blocking features means a three-dimensional printer has integrated a software controls process that deploys a firearms blueprint detection algorithm such that those features identify and reject print requests for firearms or illegal firearm parts with a high degree of reliability and cannot be overwritten or otherwise defeated by a user with significant technical skill. And of course, I'm reading that with somebody who's very skilled in Blender and like, this is going to be interesting. Right below that here, we see Firearms Blueprint Detection Algorithm means a software service that evaluates three-dimensional printing files, whether in the form of stereolithography STL files, or other computer-aided design files, or a geometric code to determine if they can be used to program a three-dimensional printer to produce a firearm or illegal firearm parts, and flag any such files to prevent their use to manufacture said firearm or illegal firearm parts. Two more definitions. I know it's a lot to start off with, but that's how these bills work. Software controls process, we saw this one in the first definition, means a system designed to stop a three-dimensional printer from initiating any print job unless the underlying three-dimensional printing file has been evaluated by a firearms blueprint detection algorithm and determined not to be a printing file that would produce a firearm or illegal firearm parts. And then finally, three-dimensional printer. It's not exactly what you imagine it would be. Three-dimensional printer means any machine capable of rendering a three-dimensional object from a digital design file using additive manufacturing, that's your normal 3D printer, or any machine capable of making three-dimensional modifications to an object from a digital design file using subtractive manufacturing. And of course, that is all forms of CNC machining tools, and there's reasons why they stuck that in here. And I know what they're afraid of, and the problem is I don't think they realize how common all these tools really are and how many people not only have 3D printers in their house, but full-featured CNC machines that are used for making things other than firearms, like robot parts, for example. It's pretty ridiculous. But let's take a look at when the government would like to have all these things implemented. So back to the bill, we see after July 1st, 2027, no person who manufactures, wholesale, sells any three-dimensional printer may sell or otherwise transfer for consideration a three-dimensional printer in this state unless, and then it goes on to list basically a way of saying that you have to fulfill those things we talked about the firearms detection algorithm, blah, 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 or you cannot sell or transfer a 3D printer inside Washington State. Also, it should be noted that right now this proposed bill does not actually apply to existing 3D printers, so it may never technically apply to them, but at some point people are going to want to get new 3D printers, and then therefore they're going to have to be in compliance with this bill if it does become law. So how is this going to be implemented? Well, first we can see something right here. So this paragraph right here basically says it's going to be up to the Attorney General of the state of Washington to figure out what the detailed rules are for complying with this law. We can see here a little bit about the penalties. And for a second or subsequent offense, you could be guilty of a Class C felony. And we could probably look up what exactly that means for Washington State, but felonies are never a good thing. When we get down here into page 4, we see some of the broad workflows of how a 3D printer might implement this type of software blocking process or whatever they called it. A software controls process may be integrated into the three-dimensional printer's function in any of the following design forms. Firmware design. Integration of a firearms blueprint detection algorithm directly into a three-dimensional printer's firmware such that any geometric code received by the printer must be screened by the algorithm before the printer will proceed to print, and such that the printer will reject print jobs identified by the algorithm as directing the printer to print firearms or illegal firearm parts. Now, if you're thinking about this firmware design being a dumb way to do this with an actual 3D printer, you are right. It would be stupid when it comes to your additive manufacturing 3D printers. However, this ties into the whole thing we saw a moment ago about how CNC machines are tied into this, because there's a whole subcategory of CNC machines that are small little things that are solely designed to turn what are called 80% lowers into what the government considers to be legal firearms. And it's all is getting around, dancing around the idea, or basically the rulemaking that must occur on the government side to figure out when a chunk of metal becomes an actual firearm. And with this whole process, it would kind of make sense if you want to block this creation of from an 80% lower into a finished firearm, you could block that at the G-code level because you're doing the exact same operation and it's a very different process than, 3D printing something with a 3D printer as we understand what a 3D printer means. I hopefully that kind of makes sense of what's going on. You're getting really into the weeds of firearm legislation at that point, but it's important to at least know that that's a thing and how that integrates with this bill. Let's go back to part B, integrated preprint software design. Limitation of a three-dimensional printer's operation to accept geometric code from printing exclusively from a single slicer or other preprint software, which may be the manufacturer's proprietary software, and integration of a firearm's blueprint detection algorithm into that preprint software, such that any stereolithography file or other computer-aided design file must be screened by the algorithm before the software will proceed to produce a geometric code, blah, blah, blah. So this other option here is then to go ahead and integrate this whole process into the slicer. Of course, if you do that, can't you just load your own G-code from another slicer onto the 3D printer? And well, Washington State wants to say screw you to that as well. Let's go to C. Handshake authentication design. Limitation of a three-dimensional printer's operation to accept geometric code for printing only from specified slicers or other pre-print software, wherein the printer will require a digital watermark or other authentication tool verifying the identity of the pre-print software. Therefore, your new 3D printer can only accept printing jobs from a known slicer. Somehow there's going to be some form of DRM to ensure that the files that are created by the slicer program are the only ones that are going to work on that 3D printer, and you cannot get around that with some other slicer out there. At this point, I've probably read enough of this bill, but if you're really curious and want to look at Section 7, you can see some more details about how the government thinks the interaction with the illegal firearm part database thing would work, and there's some more details here. So why is this a terrible idea and just stupid in general? For starters, here in the United States, we have something called the Second Amendment, and I am of the opinion that shall not be infringed is very clear and easy to understand. And in addition, we have a long tradition of being allowed to manufacture your own firearms in this country. Now, related to this, when it comes to gun control, I know my position there is probably not the most popular one out there, but as you can see, for many countries that went ahead and did put severe restrictions on firearms, it worked so well curbing the violence problem that they're now doing things like putting heavy restrictions on knives and swords here in the UK. We've got the state of Victoria over here in Australia wanting to heavily restrict machetes. And tragically, for the past few years, many people in countries have discovered that one of the most effective instruments for mass violence are sitting in all of our garages. But for this audience in particular, what this really means is that many of the best parts of 3D printing is going to be destroyed by the government. In particular, open source 3D printers, open source printing software, and any kind of 3D printing related thing that you can go ahead and modify and tweak yourself is going to have to become illegal, because you need this whole DRM thing to go ahead and work the way that it is supposed to. And 3D printer kits will likely be banned at some point, because kind of related to this whole topic, we had a court case from earlier last year that had been going through the court system for a few years, but roughly it comes down to that firearm kits that aren't themselves necessarily complete firearms, but can be assembled into a firearm, should be treated like a firearm. And I'd imagine that same kind of logic would then apply to 3D printer kits, where you have a bunch of independent parts, but one put together would be a 3D printer, and therefore that kit must be able to satisfy the laws over in Washington state. Now, this law is only sort of enforceable. States can't set up checkpoints at their borders to make sure that illegal 3D printers don't sneak in. But if police enter your house for some reason, even if, say, for example, you call 911 for an emergency situation and they enter your house willingly because you let them in for the emergency stuff, and they find that you have an illegal 3D printer, well, congratulations, you're going to get a citation for it. Also, you're going to have situations where the law enforcement are probably going through social media looking for people who live in Washington state and are showing off brand new 3D printers that are not compliant. Once a system like this is in place, what is to keep other companies, other sectors of industry from taking advantage of it? Of course, we get to the idea of the never-ending Roman space knight joke, and whether it looks too close to an actual Adeptus Astartes, such that Games Workshop may want to use this system at some time in the future to make sure you can't print up any of those third-party Space Marine looking things because they look just a little too close to what Games Workshop thinks is their version of the Space Marine. Then we get to the part where this system is not supposed to be circumventable by somebody with a nice set of technical skills, or they use some more formal legal language, and that is going to be a problem for them. On the computer side of things, what you often will do when it comes to trying to identify and match files is you have a concept called hashing. It's a very complex mathematical operation that takes a giant chunk of data, reduces it down to a relatively small chunk of data, such that the same giant chunk of data always produces the same small output, and the same small output should be exclusive to whatever the input is. So it's basically a way of creating a unique fingerprint for a given large chunk of data, like an STL file. The problem with that, let me jump over to Blender here for a moment. I'm looking at one of my robots, but if I were to go in here and just move that like that, do a relatively small cosmetic change to a piece of the robot by moving this vertice, and then I exported this piece as an STL file, the hashing algorithm would now see it as a totally different file, and therefore I could get around some of these restrictions pretty easily by making very minor cosmetic changes to files. That kind of leaves one final option, which is going to be some sort of AI-powered image or 3D shape detection algorithm, and those things certainly do exist. But the problem is those are going to end up being a bit overly broad. You might have noticed sitting behind me here is my old 3D printed canister rifle. Of course, this is not an actual real firearm, despite the fact that some sci-fi conventions thought it looked like one. Those people really don't know what an actual firearm looks like. But it is mostly 3D printed, and it does kind of have some of the general shapes down here of an actual firearm. So it's quite possible that a cosplay piece like this might get caught up with certain algorithms that are designed to detect the visual approximate shape of an actual firearm, which is not a good thing, and that's a different set of problems to deal with. Ultimately, if I can make one final philosophical statement, these bills are the kind of thing that happens when our society breaks down in trust with each other, and we kind of have a bit of a cultural fracturing going on, and the government desperately tries to hold on to power and tries to implement morality through legal legislations, and inevitably it's going to fail because it's a mostly unpopular piece of legislation. And history shows that when you end up giving the government a monopoly on violence and firearms, not only does that not solve the violence problem in a society, it just ends up making everything worse for the citizens of that country, as authoritarianism will eventually set in. So on that wonderful cheery note, I'm Jason, the creator of the Tabletop Battlefield. Thank you guys all for watching, and normally I give you an update on the next set of Fractured Colony miniatures, but unfortunately my 3D printer has kind of borked itself, and I managed to somehow melt one of the cooling fans. So I think I've got a part for this guy, so hopefully I'll get it replaced this week and back to working on those. Anyway, I'll see you guys all next time.